What are the best cheap guitars out there? To find out, I decided to ask the internet, as it were. Did they get it all backwards? Hello and welcome to another video with me. It's good to have you along. Today I'm trying to help you with cheap guitars, and the way I've done this is that I've spent a bit of time researching what different people who write on the internet think is the best cheap or beginner guitar. And I've also asked you, good people, what you thought. And I'm going to reveal those results towards the end and put some comments here from you people as we go along. But I started by researching on the internet, seeing, I think I Googled best beginner guitars or best cheap guitars. For your information, I am going to equate beginner guitar with cheap guitar. I know it's not the same thing, but for most people who begin their guitar journey, they will buy a cheap guitar. So in that sense, I think it's fair to kind of speak about the same thing. So I'll use the terms interchangeably. This is not my native language, as you might know. The internet. What is the internet in this case? Well, it's basically all sorts of articles. It's Music Radar, Guitar World, and all sorts of independent people who have written blogs about this kind of stuff. I think this is inherently a bit unreliable, and I'll speak about that as well later on. If it was more reliable, I would have spent more time doing this. As it was, I spent, I think, a day doing this. I put them into an Excel and got some results. Yeah, hooray, exciting using Excel. Nothing is more metal than a spreadsheet. Anyway, so let's just get going. I will have some sound bites from the ones that I've tried, and I'll give opinions where I have some, because I haven't tried all of these. The two that we're going to start off with tied, both with 4 votes. One is a Squier Strat / Tele in general, where they didn't mention what it was. Was it an Affinity? Was it a Bullet, classic vibe, whatever? They just said Squier Strat or Tele in general. This is one of the problems with this list. It will, because some, like Squier, have different models, they will get mentioned kind of as one, whereas certain others just basically have the one model. But we'll talk more about that as we go along. So one is the Squier Tele / Strat in general, and one was, let me look, the Gretsch Streamliner. Gretsch 2420 Streamliner. So, what is the difference between these? Well, one is price. If you're going for a Squier Bullet Strat or Tele, that will not set you back a huge amount. I think Squiers are somewhere in between 150 and 400-ish euros here in Europe, depending upon what you get. Might be a bit over 400 as well. But according to what I looked up, the Gretsch is 533 euros here in Europe. Now, it's perfectly fine and reasonable for a beginner to get a beginner guitar or a guitar for 533 euros. But I would venture that most would be looking at something cheaper. So, in terms of price, the Gretsch is a bit doubtful for me. The Squier, I'll get back to Squiers because they pop up occasionally. Because next we have a Squier Bullet Mustang. Now, as far as I'm aware, I think the Bullet has been discontinued at least some models, and you have the Sonic now. I've not tried a Mustang because it's a bit not my thing. There's so much stuff to try. It might be fine, I don't know. Next up we get a Thai, and these are, well, I've tried one of these. First up we have the Epiphone Power Player SG series, or Epiphone Power Player series. That's 279 euros. Seems perfectly reasonable. Tied with that is the PRS SE Standard, which is 649 euros. That's a lot for a beginner guitar. It's not a cheap guitar. I wouldn't put it on a list of the best beginner guitars. I mean, if you're going to do a list where prices are irrelevant to beginner guitars, I would just say, get this custom shop Fender whatever. It's probably better. So yeah, if price comes into it, the PRS just doesn't make sense. And here's the deal. All of these guitars that I've now mentioned, except for the Squier in general, have been on Guitar World's list of the best beginner guitars out there. And this is why this list is so unreliable, and why I was so looking forward to hearing what you people thought, is because I think Guitar World were trying to sell you something via affiliate links. They've since actually started putting into articles right at the beginning that clicking links in the article may lead to affiliate sites or something along those lines. I don't think they used to have that in the articles. So PRS SE, I did try a PRS once and it was a very good guitar. I think a better cheap, or as good cheap alternative would be the Harley Benton CST. It's a knockoff of the PRS. Here is the PRS that I tried. Up we get to third place, tied third place, with a Squier Classic Vibe and an Epiphone Les Paul Studio. Now let's do the Epiphone first. They have a huge variety of different models at different price points, and I think they're mostly good. I don't think I've tried the Studio. I tried a classic Warn something or other. Nice guitar. And then I tried a really basic one that I forget, which was okay, I guess. But the Studio, I haven't tried that, but I'm assuming that will be fine. Again, I think there would be alternatives here. One of the Harley Benton single cuts comes to mind. And then we have the Squier Classic Vibe, which they're just under 400 euros. I've tried two different ones. The first one I really liked, the second one I didn't really like too much. But they're a fairly safe bet in the sense that I haven't really come across classic vibes that are absolutely horrible. The one that I didn't like wasn't absolutely horrible. I just thought it was a bit overpriced. Again, here I would suggest something else. And I'll just leave my suggestions at the end so you can take a look at those completely separately. We get to number 2, which is a Squier Affinity Strat or Tele. Now, these cost not a lot of money, 230-ish euros here in Europe. And as you might notice, Squier features quite heavily on this list. Again, I think it's because different outlets are trying to sell different things with affiliate links, and they're looking at guitars that are different in shape, appeal to you people, and different price points, so that when you read one of their articles, you will look, okay, that's my price point and my type of guitar, so I'll click that and buy that. That way they make money. That isn't to say that the Affinity can't be a perfectly good guitar. I've tried 3 Strats on the channel, Affinities, and I liked one of them. I really did. 2 I didn't really like. So there's that. I have other alternatives, again, towards the end of the video. Which brings us to number 1. This one got 10 votes, whereas the Squier Affinity got 8. So this is a fairly convincing winner. Can you guess what it is? Put it in the comments. It's the Yamaha Pacifica. Now, again, this is around 300 euros, at least the one that was first mentioned. They've mentioned the 112V. There are different ones. There's a 012, which I'm not sure if it goes under the name of Pacifica. I think there's a 212, which is a bit more expensive. I've tried 3, and I really liked 1, and 2 were a bit underwhelming. I'm not saying bad, just a bit underwhelming. That might partly be because of the big expectation you have with something that is a Pacifica, because they are really popular. And I've tried others earlier, way back when, and I've liked them mostly. So it's not a bad alternative. So what you have here, you have the Pacifica as the winner, you have different Squiers, you have Epiphones, pretty much what you would expect. The thing to mention here is that if you combine all the different votes that Squier got, you get it gets 25 votes. So that is the most popular guitar, it seems, according to the internet. So, if you want a popular guitar, get a Squier. I don't recommend a Squier, actually. I think they're fine, but there are better ones out there. So, what did you guys think? I have the results here. Now, I did the same with this as I did with that list that I just read out, because there were others on the list that I didn't include. They got less than 4 votes. Same thing here. The minimum has been 4 votes, but I got 3 guitars that got 4 votes. One is the Squier Bullet or Sonic Strat or Tele. So again, we're into that Squier type of thing. The next one I thought was way more interesting. It was the Jackson JS22, which got 4 votes. Interesting. I have tried a Jackson. I forget the exact model. And then there is the Harley Benton Dual Cut Goto. Also got 4 votes. First Harley Benton here. See, that's because you people are not trying to sell anything via affiliate links. Next up, we have something that got 5 votes. It's the Squier Affinity Strat / Tele. Yes, we've done strats. And then we have a Squier Classic Vibe Tele or Strat. Then we get to a Harley Benton Telecaster. People have said slightly different models, so I've just lumped them all into one. But interestingly, Harley Benton Telecasters came in at number 5. So we're nearing the podium places, as it were. This got 7 votes, so that is a considerable amount. Next up, we have the top 3, because we have a tied number 3, so there is no number 4. And one of them is the Epiphone Les Paul Special. I think that's the one that I tried on the channel, which is the fairly basic one that I wasn't a huge fan of, but it was okay. And then we have an Ibanez Geo GRG 121. Might be that one of the votes was not the 121, but Geo, I've just gone for the Geo. Pretty similar-ish guitars. And because Squiers all get lumped into one kind of anyway, because they have Strats and Teles, I just thought I'd lump all the Geos into one. Both got 8 votes. So we're getting into, I think I would rely on this more than that list that I just read out earlier. And number 2, and this is how I kind of know that I trust this list more than the previous list, is Jet, JS or JT 300 or 400. Those are the basic entry-level Jets. The difference being, well, one is a Strat type and one is a Tele type. The 300 has 3 single coils on the Strat. The 400 has 2 single coils and a humbucker. That's really the difference. The trem is a bit different as well. But they're both around 200 to 250-ish euros. And they're really good guitars. Here is the Jet JT300. It's one of the best budget guitars I've ever tried. Absolutely great. And then we get to number 1, which is the same one actually as on the other list. It's a Yamaha Pacifica. The Jet got 9 votes. The Pacifica got 15. So I think that's a clear winner. Again, we get the same thing if we just combine all the Squiers into one that makes 17 votes. Yeah, the Pacificas, they're mostly just Strats in different... They're Strats at different price points. So the Pacifica is the clear winner. I would say that if you get a Pacifica, you should be fairly safe. I would say if you get a Jet, you should be fairly safe. Regardless of what you get, try before you buy or make sure you can send it back, because any guitar that you get can turn out to be an absolute pile of dog shit. It happens even with really expensive ones. If you want to know what I think, I bow to your opinion. I'm just one guy who happens to have certain opinions, and I might have more experience with guitars than some of you, but some of you probably have more experience with guitars than I do. What do I know? But if you want my humble opinion, there is a video here. If you want to check out my music, there is a link in the description where you get access to a free album, 6 of my best songs. You can check that out. Might be you'll like it, might be you'll hate it. But it's free, so what have you got to lose? Above all, I hope you had some use of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. See you. Goodbye.